the Strategic Day Trader, and this is your market wrap for October 18th, 2019. Qs were initially, opening up flat, but then got sold. Going to be closing somewhere around down 0.6. We still got a good amount of time to go before the close here. Q's down 0.6, SPY down a little bit less, Q showing a little bit of relative weakness to the SPY. Let's just take a quick look at the IWM and then IWM kind of in between there, okay? Looking at the daily here, all right, IWM's been trying to grind higher. Still does look higher, Q's as well, but we may be getting the start of a pullback here as we've bumped up against this resistance. We've been bullish. Ever since this sell setup on the daily failed, we've been moving up. Not a lot going on here, but still looking more bullish, especially on the weekly. So the longer time frame has stayed pretty bullish here. We've been watching the hourly and daily to see if we're going to get any follow through to the downside. All right, so going into Monday, still going to be bullish because we have this weekly buy setup. Okay, the daily has been grinding higher, kind of been stuck in a range for the last few days, which is actually what I like to see during earnings season. So during earnings season, I'd rather the market not move too much, rather than that not be the focus. If the Qs and SPY can stay quiet, it's that much easier to find the big movers. And I thought this week we did a pretty good job. Generally that's the focus every week. I feel like we typically do a good job. So, I just wanted to go over some of the plays from this week. We'll start off with today's plays. A very nice call from Sammy on the ETFC here. Played it on a buy setup right here. Rally, I think they took some and then trailed the rest. All right, so nice rally, nice gap there on the ETFC. Was running up into some resistance, so they played it on a pullback as it ran back up. We were watching the Gill. Gill got bought right from the open. This was a pretty excessive gap as far as size goes, so it made sense to play this as a long. I actually didn't set up for me, personally, to play the Gill long this morning. But if you did, I think that was probably the biggest mover here. Hard to find a daily bar that big. So that really was the play of the day if you played that long. I know some people in the room did, so congratulations if you did. Very nice move on the Gill. And then you might have played the GNTX with me. I know I didn't make a whole lot, but if you did and you stuck kind of with the management, at least got you to these new highs here as it broke out over this base. So no official calls. I gave the GNTX just as an idea. I did want to go over the official calls from this week. Okay, so we'll kind of move backwards. Starting with the TSM yesterday. Okay, I did go over it in yesterday's video. Okay, and what I want to do a better job of also is addressing the plays in the way that I want you to think about them, so that there is a strategy and an entry. Okay, yesterday this is what we call a gap bury, gaps up and then actually breaks through the previous day's low. And so what that does is anybody who was in it long immediately sees their profits are shrinking, maybe if they got it from the previous day, even going negative, and that's going to cause them to have to react. Okay, so that gap bully is very, very powerful. We're playing in the direction that the trend is going. Okay, and so what we did on this one was we let it do this retracement here, sell setup, and then once it did a little bit of a reaction to that trigger of the sell set, we played underneath there. So that's our secondary entry. Okay, secondary entry, we let the reaction happen. Once we get a reaction, we play underneath there. Okay, and we let it play out. I think we were in this for I guess about an hour and a half. We trailed this. We did take some as it made new lows here, and then took the rest down here, just because the trail was so far away, the hourly trail. So a nice quick move. We were talking a little bit today about management, and I know some people prefer, I just want it to work right away and I'm going to be out of it, and I don't want to be in it for more than 5, 10, 15 minutes, right? And it's hard to live through a pullback. That I understand. When I look at my trades and I look at where the kind of max move is, and I never, get the max move just because of the way that I trail in lots, right? So I'm never going to get it all out necessarily at the bottom, and I don't expect anyone to do so. I look at them and I see that holding them, if I'm in it for over an hour, it's usually because the play's working, right? The play is doing well, and I want to stick with it, right? So that was the TSM. The day before that, we did the WDAY. Okay, this one. So unlike the TSM, which was a gap berry, this was just a pro gap. Okay, meaning I'm playing in the direction of the gap. Okay, so this gap down stayed bearish. I like this breaking support. All right, and we played it as in the morning as a 1 minute breakdown. Okay, 1 minute breakdown, also a 2 minute 1 2 3. The 1 2 3 is just a variation of the breakdown because on a smaller time frame, the inside bar is going to represent consolidation. Okay, so we had the W day on this day. Gave you the targets on that, which we got to pretty quick. 160, okay, and then I know some people kind of were a little bit worried about hanging on to it, but like I said, if I can stay in the play for hours, it's usually because the play is continuing in the trend. Now I do have a trail which I use, which is we trail over the hourly bar here after target 1. So it did trail out right in here, okay, a few hours later, which was fine. But I do want to try and stay in it as long as I can. You can see, like, I think it was on this day as well, the JPM, if you played the idea, the entry, this is actually a bad tick, but nice play. You can be in it basically towards the top, and then you trail out there. You don't have to be in full when it's all the way up there. You can take it some as it's moving up. Let's take a look at that entry there on the JPM. This was probably the biggest play that I passed on. So this is one that, that you kind of go to sleep at night and think, oh, I wish I could have that one back, right? So this had a buy set up right in here over 118.60, right? And then a nice run up. If you trail it off of the hourly, you're going to be trailed underneath this bar right here, which the low was 120.86. So a very, very nice move. Probably wouldn't be in full if I had played it at that point, but that would have been where the last piece came out. Probably would have been trailing as it makes new highs, continuing to trail until I was down to the last quarter, the runner, and then the runner eventually would have trailed underneath that hourly. So that was a really nice one. Wish I'd played that, but didn't get that one, did get the W day. And then we also played the glue earlier in the week. Okay, this one, I did have to kind of course correct on this. I played it initially myself and then kind of jumped out of it, kind of just bad management. It ended up being a costly mistake here. So I played it over this breakout here. I'm going to show you the 1 minute breakout because that was the entry. So right here we had a nice little base and then a shakeout, right? And then once it broke out, I didn't take any. I was looking for a little bit more for a target on the glue, okay? And then kind of just got impatient with it and got out right there. Ended up being basically the worst place that you could have got out on this because I didn't take it. I was looking for another move, so I did let it set up again, and then we did replay it. So it was actually now off of the 2 minute. Had to get back in at a higher price, but I'm glad I did because that ended up working out nicely as well. So we did play it as it broke out here. Initially struggled a little bit, then finally we got to target. Looks like it took 40 minutes to get there, and then finally got to our target 2 3 hours later. Finally got to new highs. So you can see that's the reason that I manage the way that I do, that I play the plays the way that I do, is because usually if I'm in it for hours, the trend is still intact and still looks good. If we do get to a target 1 and I trail it up on the hourly and it trails, that's fine. Usually that to me is evidence enough that the trend is over. Okay, so those were kind of the plays from this week. I thought all kind of, as we were kind of playing them, kind of felt maybe a little bit boring to kind of wait and wait and wait on the glue and the W day and Of course, it's nice when they're making new low after new low, and we're still in it, and we're waiting for those bigger targets, right? But boring week can be a pretty good week too. So I thought, this week I thought we were very good about being selective, even as more and more opportunities started to show up. And then overall, I thought management was good. I thought that GNTX was a bit of a mistake that I did on my own, but for the official call, right, that was managed, I thought, pretty well. Or sorry, on the glue. And then, so, hopefully you can see kind of why, if you have a different trading style, if yours is a little bit more scalp focused, you're not trying to get in the trend, you're not focused, everything that kind of I'm geared towards looking at is looking for the things that are going to probably close at the absolute high or at the low. So if I find something like this W day, that's really what I'm after. Going to close at the low. So, for instance, like I see something like say HELE, and I didn't play it on this day, and I see this and I said gap up to all-time highs and got sold. Doesn't even care about support, just keeps on going. So then the next time I come across the TSM, I say, oh yeah, I've seen this before. This should keep on going, right? Okay, so that's really what I'm after. That's the reason that I am so patient with the plays, because this is ultimately what I am after. And so a lot of times, on days like today, maybe there isn't anything good enough for me to call that really fits all the criteria I'm looking for to get one of these big green bars or big red bars, depending on what direction I'm anticipating to play it. All right, so those were the plays from today and the plays from this week. I expect next week will be a lot busier, and I don't mind if the market is a little bit more neutral next week. That's what it's looking like in the short term. Long term still looks bullish. All right, but we'll see what we get on Monday. All right, so hope you all had a nice week, and are excited for more trading next week. We'll see what Monday brings us, and I hope you have a good weekend. I'll talk to you on Monday.